Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. I'm Alejandro Castellanos, and today we'll be diving into a topic that's critical for any team leader or project manager, and that is building an Agile team. But before we get into it, let's clarify something first. If you work in product development and will use Scrum as your preferred Agile framework, then you need to know that the Scrum Guide actually recommends having anything between 4 and 10 people in your team. But if you're not working in a Scrum environment, then feel free to recruit the number of people you like. Okay, so choosing the right people is key. And it's not just about having the best people with the best technical skills. It's more about understanding what hard and soft skills people bring into the team. The best Agile team members are those who are super knowledgeable in their field, but also are great communicators and collaborators. And by the way, working in Agile is a lot about talking and communicating and negotiating within the team. So emotional intelligence is just as important as technical skill. Now, when putting a bunch of people working together towards the same goal, you need to understand what each team member brings into the table. Not only that, but you also need to understand how each team member complements the other. Maybe your superstar developer is super great at developing new features quickly, but he does not like doing quality assurance tests. Or maybe your business analyst is super great at understanding the business needs, but sometimes he forgets that some things are just not technically possible in that time. You know who you are. So understanding your team's strengths and weaknesses is key to driving the team into a place of success. And take the time to understand each team member, their motivations, their setbacks, and try to put them in a place where they can shine in what they're good at, while at the same time supporting them in that thing that's kind of difficult for them. Okay, so now that you have your team and you understand what each team member brings to the table, you need to glue them together somehow. You need to create some sense of belonging to the team so that they all feel part of a unit. And this is especially important nowadays when remote work is a norm and people actually only see their colleagues in person a few times a year, if at all. You can give your team a cool name or give it a cool logo. I mean, these are super easy ways to create a sense of belonging and also to lighten the mood a little bit. But the best way to glue a team together is through documentation, communication channels, and meetings. Starting with documentation, create a centralized hub of information, a place where, when lost, your team members can go and know that they'll find familiar information that they can trust. For your team, their documentation is their home, and it's also the single source of truth. Confluence is a great tool to create beautiful documentation that's super easy to share and super easy to search. And SharePoint is also a great alternative, and it's actually included in most Microsoft licenses. So please, don't underestimate the value that documentation brings to your team. You know, people come and go and they get sick, or they leave a few weeks, or they change teams, or they change companies. And it's super important that the knowledge that your team has does not go away with them. Not only that, but when your new team member arrives, you need to onboard this person quickly. And the easiest way to do it is by having them read a good piece of documentation. On the other hand, don't underestimate the effort that keeping documentation up to date takes. To achieve this, you must change some mindsets. Train your team in stopping using their inbox and chats as information repositories. Train them in creating actual documentation, or at least train them in best practices like not sharing files, but actually sharing links to files. Keeping documentation up to date is a constant game of reminding people to transfer documents from their local PC into a common space. And by the way, this is one of the things that we mean in Agile when we say transparency. It's all a mindset. Next up, communication channels. Another great way to glue your team together is to create a space where your team can easily interact. So set up a common chat using MS Teams, Slack, or any other available tool, and make sure that these channels are active. A few and easy ways to do this is by greeting everybody in the morning, or by just giving general announcements every now and then. Having an active team chat will motivate your team to write and share information publicly rather than sharing it in a private space. And this way your team is always going to be up to date with the latest information. The next way to glue your team together is by establishing a meeting schedule to give your team a sense of rhythm. Don't overwhelm them with meetings though. find a cadence that works for them. If your team works on developing a product, then by all means feel free to use all of the Scrum ceremonies. But if you're not working in product development, then maybe having so many meetings might overwhelm them. Instead, select a few of the Scrum ceremonies and only do the ones that you actually really need. You can do a weekly stand-up, for example, or you can run a retrospective every quarter. Feel free to read on all the Scrum ceremonies and choose the ones that are appropriate for your team's needs. Now on to the final step, guiding your team. Your team will be a collection of colorful people with different professional and cultural backgrounds. They'll have different personalities and of course, they'll have different ways of seeing things. And while having different perspectives in a team is surely a good recipe for success, having people moving in different paths and pulling in opposite directions is definitely not something you want. So provide your team with crystal clear goals and objectives which are immune to misinterpretation. Feel free to present these goals in multiple times, in multiple ways, and in multiple channels, all to make sure that everyone understood them the same way. Not only that, but also make sure that everybody understands their role in achieving these goals. This ensures that everybody will be pulling in the same direction and collaborating efficiently. For the short-term goals, especially in Scrum, you can focus on the sprint goal. This will help the team understand what needs to be done in the next 2 weeks. And for long-term goals, you can use OKRs as your main Agile tool. Having your OKRs displayed permanently in a dashboard and referring to them every now and then is important. It's also important to constantly remind the team what the objectives are. After all, everybody needs to know where they're headed when they're moving together as one. In summary, building an Agile team is a 3-step process. First, carefully understand who you are working with and how they will work together. Then, glue them together with documentation, communication channels, and well-paced meetings. And finally, guide them with a clear short and long-term goals. I hope you found this breakdown helpful, and remember, stay agile, stay ahead. Catch you in the next sprint.